Thriving business.
Well, exactly 1 minute past 9, and we're back with the Business Insight. And like I told you, we shall be reviewing through the Transforming Uganda through Japanese Partnership and the journey of progress and challenges that have really been witnessed. Now, the partnership between Japan and Uganda has actually been a beacon of international cooperation characterized by a commitment to economic growth, social development, and acknowledge a transfer now rooted in Japan's own history of rebuilding. That is, after World War II. This collaboration has actually seen decades of investments in agriculture. Now, there has also been vocational training and infrastructure development across the country, that is Uganda. Now, while these programs have profoundly impacted many lives, questions remain. That is examining Japan's interventions in Uganda through detailed analysis and personal stories that we can actually get to understand the broader implications of this partnership for the nation's future. Now, Japan's journey from devastation in 1945 to becoming a global economic powerhouse is a lesson in resilience and innovation. Now, the catastrophic impacts of World War II left Japan's grappling with widespread poverty, destroyed infrastructure, and several upheaval. However, the report says that through the rigorous industrialization, technological advancement, and international collaboration, the country transformed itself into one of the world's leading economies. Now, this unique experience has actually shaped Japan's global development approach, emphasizing capacity building, sustainability, and mutual respect, and sovereignty, also inclusive. Now, for Uganda, these values are particularly significant. Now, Japan's intervention are not just financial, they're deeply focused on empowering Ugandans to take control of their economic destinies. Now, this commitment has manifested in agriculture, education, infrastructure, where the emphasis on practical skills and technology has helped individuals and the communities to thrive. Yet, as we celebrate these opportunities to build self-reliance, there are risks of becoming overly dependent on foreign aid. Yeah, there is also that risk. As we have all this development, all these frameworks, these development plans, of a given time period, we need to understand, where does this really leave Uganda? Don't we seem like we are surviving more on foreign aid? All right, now agriculture is the backbone of Uganda's economy, employing over 70% of the populations and contributing significantly to the gross domestic product. However, challenges such as climate change, poor farming techniques, and limited access to quality inputs have hampered productivity for decades. Now, the National Crop Resource Research Institute in Namlonge supported by the Japanese funding and expertise, has emerged as a game changer in addressing these challenges. Now, at the heart of this initiative is a focus on rice production. Now, through collaborative research, NACRI has developed over 20 rice varieties suited for Uganda's diverse soils and climatic conditions. And now these include weather-resistant strains under the Eco-Pride initiative, which aim to actually mitigate the risks posed by erratic rainfall and prolonged droughts. Now, the results are remarkable, as rice production has actually surged sixfold since 2010. The Ugandan farmers are increasingly competitive in both domestic and international markets. Now, this growth is actually not merely a statistic. It is a lifeline of thousands of farmers who have previously struggled with food insecurity and poverty at the same time. Now, take for example a story of David Onyango, a smallholder farmer in northern Uganda. Before participating in JICA's training program, Onyango's rice yield was actually barely enough to feed his family. Today, thanks to the introduction, that is to a high-yield drought-resistant rice variety, he not only feeds his family, but also sells the surplus rice to the local markets. Now, this is providing income. Now, his income has doubled, which is allowing him to invest in his children's education and farm equipment. However, these stories highlight the transformative potential of the Japanese programs. They also reveal the gaps in accessibility. Now, many rural farmers still lack their resources. All acknowledge to benefit from these advancements, underscoring the need for broader policy support and infrastructure development. Now, later on, definitely, as I wind up, we shall be taking a look at, various individuals that are participating within the JICA project at the different phases, at the different levels, and to what degree has it been really impactful when it comes to the growth and development of Uganda's backbone, agriculture, employing 70% of the population. Now, youth unemployment is one of Uganda's most pressing socioeconomic challenges, with over 13% of young people unable to find meaningful employment. Now, in this context, the Nakawa Vocation Institute, established by Japan in 1971, has been a vital tool in addressing this crisis. Now, offering training in fields such as carpentry, information technology, and mechanical engineering, the institute equips young Ugandans with marketable skills that are essential in today's evolving economy. Now, what sets Nakawa apart is its focus on practical hands-on training. Unlike many theoretical programs, Nakawa's curriculum is actually deeply rooted in real-world application, using state-of-the-art equipment supplied by Japan. Now, this ensures that graduates are not only employable, but also entrepreneurial, capable of creating jobs for others. Now, over the decades, millions of Ugandans have actually benefited from the institution, and its impact on the economy is actually immeasurable, how it has been impactful. However, the institute is not without its challenges. As demand for its programs grows, the strain on its limited facilities has actually become evident. Now, classrooms are actually overcrowded, and infrastructure is actually aging, threatening to limit the institute's capacity to meet Uganda's growing workforce needs. Now, without increased government investment, either from Japan or the Ugandan government, the long-term sustainability of Nakawa's success is actually uncertain. Now, this highlights the broader challenge of ensuring that development programs evolve alongside the needs of the populations they serve. Now, Uganda's infrastructures historically lagged behind its economic ambitions, with poor road networks, unreliable energy supplies, and inadequate urban planning stifling growth. Now, Japan's investments in this sector, including iconic Ginger Road and the Lugogo Power Station, have actually been pivotal in addressing these deficits. Now, these projects are more than just symbols of progress. They are enablers of trade connectivity. And if we talk about industrialization and creating opportunities for millions of Ugandans that are out there. However, these successes are without their critics. Of course, many urge that the benefits of such projects are disproportionately concentrated in urban areas, leaving rural communities underserved. Now, for example, while the Ginger Road has actually undoubtedly improved trade routes, farmers in remote regions still struggle with the impassable roads that cut them off from the markets and essential services. Now, bridging this rural-urban divide requires a more inclusive infrastructure strategy, one that prioritizes equitable access to resources and opportunities, as we are really taking a look. Now, Uganda, Japan, let's take a look at this. What have we benefited? Of course, the various people are going to be speaking out as we shall be, looking through the various participants that came to say something in relation to this project, and how impactful. We shall be seeing some of the people from the Neckar Vocation Institute. What have they been doing, the hands-on experience, because this is the kind of education that is actually offered in these countries. It's hands-on skills. And, because in those countries, it's all about what can you do, not about what degree do you have, what do you have, what have you achieved, all that. Yes, you have the qualifications, it's wonderful. And I'm not saying don't go get those degrees, please go get those degrees. But what I'm saying is that the degrees are not going to be the guarantee. They're not going to be a security, It's about what can you do, the hands-on experience. And that's what Japan was actually giving to Uganda. And, this also brings us back to something. For the battle between the United States and China for Africa, whereby China looks at Africa as an opportunity. America looks at Africa as a problem that needs to be solved. So you see, Japan and China, their perception, the perception they have about Uganda is quite similar. They see an opportunity. Okay, yes, it could be having exploitative intentions perhaps in the future, but exploiting somebody, it's like milking a cow that you don't feed. At the end of the day, you milk the cow you don't feed, but you expect the best from it. That's how America operates on Africa. China, Japan, it could be quite different. Milk the cow milk the cow to the maximum. Milk it because that's why you got it. But feed that cow too, such that when the milk you get from the cow is high quality, you can actually sell it to other people on the market, because it's quality. So this is what China and Japan do. They are creating opportunities within Africa, talking about Uganda now, like for Japan, through the Chike Corporation, China through the Road Belt Initiative. It's establishing all these different transport routes to connect the different parts of Africa, to the various ends. So this is what we're seeing. Well, as I proceed along, while Japan's contributions to Uganda have actually been transformative, they also raise uncomfortable questions about aid dependency. Now, critics warn that over-reliance on foreign funding could actually undermine Uganda's sovereignty and self-sufficiency, perpetuating a cycle of dependence rather than fostering true independence. For example, many of the programs supported by Japan, such as the NACRI and Neckar Vocation Institute, rely heavily on external funding for their operations and expansion. Now, without a clear strategy, these initiatives risk becoming unsustainable in the long run, or in the long term, let me say it that way. They prove to be unsustainable in the long term. Now, to mitigate this, Uganda must adopt a more proactive approach to development. Now, this includes increasing domestic investment in education, research, and infrastructure, as well as fostering public-private partnership that can actually leverage local resources and expertise. By aligning foreign aid to the national priorities, Uganda can actually transform these programs into catalysts of self-reliancy rather than crutches for dependency. Now, you can see that is what really transpires. That is at the Neckar Vocation Institute. The hands-on experience programs for the Ugandans. But the only challenge is that the mindset that we have, that any person that goes to a vocation institute is actually a failure. That's what every person thinks, But who really cares? Who really cares? The big question is that what kind of people does the country Uganda need today? Does it need people with PhDs, people with master degrees, but they can't solve basic challenges that the society is facing? Take a look at those students right there. I don't care what you really think about them, but I feel they hold this country's future, and they're going somewhere with this. And they made a good decision to actually go on with the hands-on skill training, with Japan, because this is one of the collaborative aspects that we see, to see that if there is to be any kind of, let me say, exploitation, that means the people that are exploited will actually be equipped. Yes, and on top of being equipped, they'll be adding some income because part of the constructions that are being established are going to be used within Uganda and also the eastern region, the East African region. So the engineering perspectives. We've seen Ugandans really doing quite a lot, but there has not really been support for them, most especially coming in from the government, supporting them the way they should. But these partnerships between the foreign agencies and the government of Uganda are bridging that gap, and unemployment, I believe if we still keep on that as a huge, if we continue with this, the country's economy will actually be on a great path. Now, the partnership between Japan and Uganda is a testament of the power of international collaboration in addressing shared challenges. Now, through its investments in agriculture, vocational training, and infrastructure, Japan has not only improved lives of countless Ugandans, but also laid the groundwork for sustainable development. However, the true measure of the success lies in Uganda's ability to build on this foundation, ensuring that these programs are accessible, inclusive, and self-sustaining. Now, as Uganda moves forward, it must navigate the delicate balance between leveraging foreign aid and fostering domestic capacity. Now, by learning from Japan's own history of resilience and innovation, Uganda could actually also start a concerted part towards a future benefited from these programs. And of course, to remind us that progress is not just about statistics or policies, but progress is about the people. There are aspirations and there are potential to shape a better tomorrow. That is the true definition of progress. And if we design the policies from that line, from that perspective, well, I believe the country will be definitely ours. And the world will definitely be for Uganda to take over. Let's take a look at the various stakeholders that participated in this one.
That Naro is recommending, alongside with the Nerica varieties that was talked about in the previous presentation, and also some varieties from Japan. These are all lowland varieties. And you can see the growth stage changing over the years. We use this usually for training. Okay? I'll show you just one experience. What we're doing here is we're testing those technologies to see if they are suitable for Ugandan conditions. Are they economically good? Are they not so labor intensive? And when you practice those technologies in the long run, is it better for farmers? So that is the kind of research that we're doing. This is one example here. We are doing direct sowing of rice. Usually rice is transplanted from these kind of nursery beds into the fields. But the time it takes to transplant these can be reduced by direct sowing. Direct sowing by hand is not easy, but we are doing just an agronomic experiment and then later bringing in some machinery to help with the labor reduction for farmers. So you can see some plots have farmers to sow, to transplant into the farms. But this transplanting is quite labor intensive. So we are hoping to bring in some machines that can just drop seeds into the soil and cover. It will be much faster, more efficient. Here we're just testing this out. But usually farmers transplant. We're bringing in new technology, direct sowing. That weeding is important, and we usually promote 3 times weeding at certain times. But sometimes farmers are not able to do this, so we are trying to find out methods such as using herbicide or just using the hand. At what timing is most efficient, uses the less amount of labor for weeding. So it's basically optimization of farm management. Okay. So we need the data so that we can recommend these ideas. we were taking the data in these fields.
Okay.
This initially is a water crop, so it's at home in water. So in contrast, the lowland rice production quantities are usually more than the upland. The difference is about twofold or sometimes, but depending on the management. Because whereas, yes, it's in the water, and which is the ideal condition. If weeding is not done in time and some of those agronomic practices are not done in time, definitely you cannot be able to see the expected results.
You mentioned that with...
Thank you so much. Now, as explained earlier on in our debriefing session, the profitability component looks at it in a broad way, not just in the money terms. So we are asking ourselves, how do we get the profit from environment conservation? How are we getting the profit from the economic part of it? You just bypassed a section right there, for example, down there, where we are trying out fish and rice systems. So there's a small pond there, which pond water is feeding into the rice field right there. So the thinking is we're thinking broad, in the sense that, for example, once we tried that out and we find it works out, farmers will actually be able to shoot two birds with one stone. One, they will be able to harvest their fish, but also get cells from it, get better nutrition from it, but also from their rice. So we have broadened the latitude of what the farmer can actually be able to get, typically from rice, but in a diversified way. And also with the economic, the component also with this project is, instead of going heavy duty fertilizer, we are thinking, can you be able to use just a small quantity of fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, if you must, but we are promoting eco-friendly organic sources of fertilizer. That's why the biochar is now coming on board. This is where we convert rice husk into organic fertilizers, which is something that costs a lot of costs, but also it is environmental friendly. Right at the other unit is a compost making unit, whereby we want to use organic sources to compost and provide manure. So that is also the other profitability component, to see that we get high yields, but the farmer doesn't have to pay a lot of money in buying fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, when all these organic sources are available. So those are some bits of the profitability component we're looking at broadly.
Here in this old site, I have to say 3 activities going on here. We have demonstration. In the demonstration, we are looking planting rice every month, because rice grows well in different temperatures. So from there we assess in the demonstration by having a monthly planting. And then secondly, we have research. In the research, we are carrying nuclear seed. Nuclear seed become foundation seed. Foundation become a breeder. Then a breeder become registered seed. Then from registered seed, that's where I get seed production for the seed multiplication. And then the third activity which is carried in this session is seed multiplication itself. That means registered seed I produce here, which has taken 5 years, we produce seed multiplication, and then this seed multiplication is the same seed we give to our farmers all the region of Uganda. So we have also other activities like improving the fertility of the soil by making compost manure. That means the cycle of rice goes complete. You harvest rice and still you in-plow it also in the system in order to increase yield. And this same message, we pass it to our farmers countrywide so that they can improve their way of living and have sustainable way of life and increase some income in general. Thank you very much. We are having the refugees from Western Nile. Rice is, in fact, It's not a food crop only, but it is also a cash crop. Since it is a cash crop, we want to improve our livelihood, including the refugees. You know, in the executive talk of the President of Uganda, rice has been affecting the ecosystem. But since we are now in upland system of cultivating rice, for sure we want our community, including the refugees, to benefit out of it. Because Uganda can't sustain all the refugees, since it is the largest country in the world hosting the refugees here. So that's why Pride 2 came, Pride 1 came, and the Eco Pride is also here in order to alleviate the poverty, both for the refugees and the sustainable growth.
So you can also get we learn how to plant rice in line, and we learn how to cultivate the rice in a good way. At first we use that old method, but now we learn how to plant rice way in line, which makes us to be easy in weeding. And then also when it comes to the time of harvest, it is also easy. Then that one, what should I say? When we come to the time of we want to dry our rice, they have also trained us. They have also trained us how to keep the seeds. They also train us how to put our seeds in a good place or in good storage. Thank you very much.
Let's go for the break for this particular time, and when I return, we shall still proceed to take a look at the various stakeholders that are participating into this particular Japan's project. Stick around.
Yes, as a country we have been growing in production. We are currently at about 350,000 metric tons of rice per year. But we are seeing, and we have been producing mainly from three ecosystems: the upland, the irrigated rice, and the rain-fed lowland. But the recent ban on rice cultivation in wet